Hello. So this presentation is about the summary of part 7 of the UNCLOS, which is titled High Seas. To start with, now we start with the summary. I'll first mention about the summary of the UNCLOS, the text itself. The text consists of text is called the UNCLOS 1982 or alternately called the Law of the Sea Treaty. So this consists of a preamble followed by 17 parts, which are subdivided into sections, subdivided into articles, and containing and spreading throughout them 320 articles. Now, after these articles finish, it is followed by 9 annexes, which are subdivided again into articles and subdivided into sections. Now we start with the summary. Uh, part 7 is subdivided into two sections. Section 1, which is general provision. Now, the first article under this is article number 86, which says that, which mentions about where this part is applicable, which it says is that it's applicable to areas of the sea not part of the state's exclusive economic zone, territorial sea, internal waters, or archipelagic waters. So, it emphasizes that existing freedom in the exclusive economic zone remains intact. So, the article is not to be interpreted in this manner to bring it in conflict with the freedom which has been granted elsewhere in the UNCLOS 1982 for relevant to exclusive economic zone. After that, there is article number 87, which is about freedom of high seas. High seas are open to all states. It mentions that high seas are open to all states, including landlocked ones. That means Mongolia and Switzerland, nations like that also have access to high seas. Then include freedoms such as navigation, overflight, laying cables, constructing artificial islands, fishing, and scientific research. This freedom must be exercised with respect to other states' rights and interests, so it must be used for a peaceful purpose. In fact, the next article is very openly, explicitly mentioning the same point. That article number 88, high seas are reserved for peaceful activities. Article number 89 is sovereignty. No state can claim sovereignty over any part of the high seas. And article number 90, navigation rights. All states have right to navigate ships under their flag on high seas. Then article number 91 states determine the condition for a ship's nationality, and ships must have a genuine link to the state whose flag they fly. That means every ship that is flying at the high seas must have a nationality. This is a very important article. And that status of the ship, article number 92, ship can sail under one flag only and cannot change flags during a voyage except in specific cases. So when a ship is at high seas, it cannot change flag. That is another important part thing. Otherwise, lots of frauds and deception will start taking place. So to prevent which, there is an article. Then duties of the flag states, the ones countries which offer the flag to any ship, their nationality to any ship, they have certain duties to fulfill. The duties are flag states must exercise the effective control over their ships, maintaining registers, ensuring safety and seaworthiness, and marine incidents. They must comply with international regulations and cooperate with other states in inquiries regarding marine casualties. Okay, article number 95, immunity of warships. Warships have complete immunity from the jurisdiction of any state other than their own flag state while on the high seas. This is understandable, which is very obvious thing to say. Then article number 96, immunity of government ships. The government ships used exclusively for non-commercial government services are also immune from the jurisdiction of any state other than the flag state on the high seas. So if there is a government vessel, it cannot be inspected or checked by ships of any other government. Only the flag state can check the ship. Okay, then article number 97, penal jurisdiction. In case of pollution or navigation incident, penal or disciplinary actions against the ship's master or crew can only be initiated by the flag state or the state of nationality. So there are only two options when a collision happens at high seas. Either the flag state will inspect it or the flag of The nationality of the master and the crew will penalize them. No ship can be arrested or detained by authorities other than those of the flag state. So if collision takes place in the middle of high seas, the third party cannot intervene and start the investigations and do the penalizing. No, this is not permitted. In Article number 98, duty to render assistance. Shipmasters are required to assist those in danger at sea, rescue persons in distress, and provide information after collision. Coastal states must promote effective search and rescue services and cooperate regionally for maritime safety. This is another very important and humane article of the United Nations Conventions. Understandable in easy words. Article number 99, prohibition of slave transport. So, not much of relevance these days, but still it's there that states must prevent and punish slave transport by ships flying their flag, and any enslaved person on board any ship shall be considered. Then we have Article number 100, cooperation against piracy. States are required to cooperate fully in suppressing piracy on the high seas and in areas outside any state's jurisdiction. Understandable. Article 101, definition of piracy. This is a very important article, the summary of which is that the piracy includes illegal violence or detention committed by the crew or passengers of a pirate ship or aircraft against another vessel. Participation in such activities facilitating them. Then Article number 102, piracy by mutinous crews. Acts of piracy committed by a mutinous crew of a warship or government vessel are treated like acts by pirate ship. Anybody who commits mutiny and starts doing any action on his own as though not connected with the government, then it becomes pirate ship. Definition of pirate ship. A ship or aircraft is considered a pirate vessel if it is controlled by individuals intending to commit piracy or has been used for such acts. Then Article number 104, nationality of pirate ship. A pirate ship may retain its nationality determined by the laws and state of origin. Then Article number 100, correction. Article 105, seizure of pirate ships. Any state, when there is a pirate ship, any state can seize pirate ship or aircraft on the high seas and arrest those on board. The seizing state's courts decide penalties and actions against the seized property. So if there's a pirate ship, any vessel, any other country, third party, now it can interfere and take arrest. Then Article 106, liability for unjustified seizure. States that seize ships without sufficient ground for suspicion of piracy are liable for any resulting damage to the ship's flag state. So there has to be compensation paid. Article 107, authorized seizure. Only warships, maritime aircraft, or vessels marked as government service can carry out seizures for piracy. So third party can take possession and control of a pirate ship, but which kind of third parties? Only warships, military aircraft, or vessels marked as government service. Not any other private vessel can do that thing. Article 108, illicit drug trafficking. States must cooperate to suppress illicit drug trafficking by ships on the high seas and may request assistance if a flag state suspects its ships is involved. Okay. Article 109, unauthorized broadcasting. States must work together to prevent unauthorized broadcasting from high seas, excluding distress calls. Offenders can be prosecuted by several jurisdictions. Article 110, right of visit. Warships can board foreign ships on the high seas if there is a reasonable suspicion of piracy, slave trade, unauthorized broadcasting, lack of nationality, or deceptive flag use. If suspicions are unfounded, the boarding state must compensate for any damage. This applies similarly to military aircraft. Then summary of Article 111, right of hot pursuit. This is another very important article. Right of hot pursuit. Coastal states may initiate hot pursuit of a foreign ship suspected of violating their laws when the ship is in their internal waters, territorial sea, or contiguous zones. The pursuit must be continuous to extend beyond these areas. So if somebody is being done a hot pursuit, then it has to be a continuous following of the vessel, chasing of that vessel. Then condition for hot pursuit. Condition for pursuit. The pursuit may begin outside territorial waters if it is started within them. So if you have started a hot pursuit of any vessel, a chase of any vessel, then you can do it outside of the territorial waters. Hot pursuit applies to violations in the exclusive economic zone or on the continental shelf. So when the hot pursuit is started, it can continue at the exclusive economic zone or into the continental water. Hot pursuit ends when the ship enters its own or a third state's territorial sea. So if a hot pursuit is taking place, if it is entered into another country, then the pursuit must come to an end. So following the state which is chasing another vessel cannot enter into territory of another vessel in doing a hot pursuit. Then further, the pursuing ship must ensure the suspected ship is within the relevant waters and must ensure a visible or audible stop signal. So hot pursuit cannot be secretive and uninformed. It must send out a signal, visible and audible signal, to inform that we are trying to do a hot pursuit. You is better stop by, or else we will follow you. Then authorized vessels, which vessels can do hot pursuit? Only warships, military aircraft, or government marked vessels can exercise the right of hot pursuit. Third party cannot. Aircraft pursuit, if an aircraft initiates pursuit, it must continue until a vessel from a coastal state takes over, unless the aircraft can arrest the ship. So if an aircraft is following the pursuit, it must continue until a vessel from a coastal state takes over, unless the aircraft can arrest the ship. So if an aircraft cannot arrest a ship, then it can enter into the airspace of a third party where the ship has entered into, and this is allowable. Then compensation. If a ship is wrongly stopped or arrested outside territorial waters without justification for hot pursuit, it is entitled to compensation for any loss incurred. This is another important thing, that at high seas, states cannot play frivolous and start doing hot pursuit under any pretext. They must have a genuine reason, established reason, because otherwise, on a wrong pursuit, they will have to pay a compensation. Article 113. Breaking or injury of submarine cables or pipelines. States must establish laws to punish willful or negligent damage to submarine cables or pipelines by the flagged vessels or persons under their jurisdiction. Exceptions exist for actions taken to save lives or ships while avoiding damage. So ships are not allowed to cause any damage to underwater pipelines or cables, except when there is a necessity to do so in order to save lives or the ship. Article 114. Liability for damage during cable oblique pipeline work. States must ensure that owners of submarine cables or pipelines are responsible for repairing damage caused to other cables, pipelines during their installation or repair. So if somebody is laying down any cable or pipeline, he must not cause damage to any other pipeline or cable already lying in place. In case it does so, then it is liable to compensate and do the repairs. Article 115. Indemnity for damage avoidance. States must provide for compensation to ship owners who incur losses such as sacrificed gear while taking reasonable precautions to avoid damaging submarine cables or pipelines. So if a ship has taken all reasonable precautions, is still unable to prevent from damaging the cable, then if the actions taken by the ship were reasonable enough and there were no scope further to pass by without damaging, then the reverse thing will happen, that the state will provide compensation to the ship for having laid the cable in a wrong manner. Then we come down to section 2, which is conservation and management of the living resources of the high seas. Article 116. Right to fish. All states have the right for their nationals to fish on the high seas, subject to treaties, obligation, and rights of coastal states. So anybody can come and do fishing, depending on subject to the mutual obligations and right of coastal states. duty to conserve resources, states must adopt measures for the conservation of high seas resources, either independently or in cooperation with other states. So this is one article which is uh, giving a hint towards making other cooperation organizations, for example, the ASEAN and SARC kind of organizations, in order to cooperate for preservation of marine resources at high seas. Article 118, Cooperation in Conservation. States should collaborate in the conservation and management of living resources, especially when their nationals exploit the same resources, potentially forming regional fisheries organization. So the states should cooperate with each other so that they don't overexploit and do uh, damage to the natural resources. Okay. Article 118, 119, Conservation Measures. States must base conservation measures on scientific evidence to maintain or restore fish population for sustainable yields while considering economic factors and needs of developing states. So this is an important article in view of uh, demands of the developing states. Then states should share relevant scientific data and statistics through international organizations to support conservation efforts. Conservation measures must not discriminate against fishermen from any state. Article 120, Marine Mammals. Conservation and management principles applicable to marine mammals in the high seas are addressed in Article 65.